Full screen. There we go. What's up, guys? Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live stream. Today we're gonna continue with the character that we were working a couple of weeks ago. You remember the dwarf with the stone head. It's coming up nicely, but it still needs a little bit more work. So today we're gonna be going over that. And yeah, that's it. We're just gonna have fun. We're just gonna sculpt. We're just gonna answer questions, chill, and have a good time here. So let me go here to the stream. There we go. And we do have some questions here. Alligator says, I've seen you lived in Monterey too. Wonder if you have lived more time talking in Spanish or English. Oh, I've lived in Monterey, but it's Monterey, Mexico. So, because there's a Monterey in California, I think. So, no, I've lived more times here, or more time here in Mexico. I'm 32. My birthday was last week, right? So, from the 32 years, 28 I've lived in Mexico, and 4 I lived in the US. So yeah, I speak more Spanish than English, of course. What is your favorite game? Oof, that's a tough question. I don't really think I have a favorite game, like, of all times, because there's so many different genres and things like that. However, my favorite childhood game, and sort of like my favorite series, not all of the games, but several of them, is Paper Mario. I've always really enjoyed Paper Mario and RPGs. I mean, Halo 3 was a big thing back in the day. World of Warcraft I used to play a lot. I'm not playing right now because if I played, you guys would not have any tutorials or any any courses. I would just be like grinding and raiding all day. So yeah, but I remember when I played BioShock Infinite the first time. Ooh, that was a good game. It was a really good game. I started playing Wukong yesterday. Really nice as well. I just played like the first 30 minutes, to be honest. Like, I didn't like play too much because it was a big install, like 130 gigabytes or something. The hell, where is it? There we go. There we go. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you. I'm glad that my little grain of sand, is that a quote in English? Like, I'm never sure if that quote translates to English, but in Spanish we call it granito de arena, which is grain of sand. So when you are like contributing, even if it's just a little bit to something, like you try to do your part, right? Okay, let's work on this piece right here. Actually, I don't have the concept. Let's see. Yeah, give me 1 second, Arian. I just need to get the file. The thing is, I don't think I've saved the file, so I might have to grab the thumbnail. I remember I sent it to David, but it was several weeks ago, so it's gonna take a long time to get it. There we go. I just need this. That's it. I just want to see this shape right there. Okay. Now for the question. Ariane is asking, I have a hard surface asset, a car, but now after working on it for some time, it feels like it's too simple to add in my portfolio, and I should start another one which is more complex. If the model is too simple, Ariane, then what you can do is you can work on textures, right? Textures are a very good way to make something that is simple look very complex. Look at a Pokeball, for instance, and I've done a couple of Pokeballs in the past. If you take a look at the Pokeball, it's just a sphere, pretty much. But if you add some cool textures and cool elements, you can really get it to look very interesting, right? So that could be a good way to make that thing a little bit more, well, yeah, more appealing, more interesting. Thanks, Alligator. Okay, that's a question that I get asked all the time about English. So here's my 2 cents on that. First of all, if you want to pursue this career, if you want to do any sort of like technological or creative, artistic thing, like games or film or whatever, knowing English is fundamental, guys. Like, if you are in Latin America, if you're in Europe and you're practicing your English, go and practice your spoken English. Try to join some conversation groups, try to join some voice channels in Discord, for instance. Like, try to practice as much as you can. Yes, apps like Duolingo are fine to learn like the basics and stuff, but you will get the most out of like practicing with people, right? So that's one advice that I can give you. Now, I learned a lot of English because I really like to read, and when I was younger, I'm talking about like 12 years, I was reading so many books. Like, I remember in it was not high school, it's like before high school or after like primary school, I'm not sure how that's called. We had this curriculum that we had to read about, I think it was about like 3 or 4 books, and I read like 12 that year because I just love reading. So my English teacher was like, damn, you really like reading. Okay, here's a list of other books that you can read and just go for it. And that really, really helped me. Dreamcatcher, thank you, man. I love your teaching. You're the best. You are the best, my friend. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the super there. The best tip a teacher gave me is watch little kids cartoon. Yes, they gave me a similar what's the word, advice, but instead of kids cartoons, because I can understand why that could be good when you're first starting, because it's definitely gonna give you a good idea. But usually when you get older, right, like if you're older than 15, you can skip a lot of the sort of like the basic stuff and go directly to the more advanced things. So I would watch a lot of like sitcoms, so Friends, like Scrubs. I watch Scrubs quite a bit there. What else? How I Met Your Mother. All of this like sitcoms, because again, the language there is very, very plain, very, very simple. Nowadays, you might watch like Big Bang Theory or some of these things. I would not watch Game of Thrones to practice, because they use a different sort of like older English, and it can be a little bit tricky or confusing. But some of those other like funny sitcoms, like simple, just like laugh a little bit sitcoms, those are usually good. Yeah, Scraps was really good, except for the final season. That doesn't count. But no, my favorite sitcoms, my top 3 sitcoms or like series, comedy-wise, is oh, that's a tough. I was gonna say The Office instantly, but then I really liked Parks and Recreation, and I'm not sure which one I liked as a top 1. Oh man, I think I might personally put Parks and Recreations on first place, because that was a great freaking show. And then I would put The Office, and then Community. If you haven't watched Community, it's really good as well. Yeah, The Office is really good, but I don't think it's as funny as Parks and Recs on certain parts. Let's see. No, the Unreal course is not done yet, Gotham. I've been working on it. This week was a good push. It's getting there, but it's not ready. I'm still working on it. Let's go here. Okay, now there's a little bit of a tricky situation here with this piece, because as you can see, it's asymmetrical, right? Like this thing right here is on top of this other thing right here. So ideally, or one of the best things that we can do here is just do one and have the other one, or like have those pieces as separate subtools, first of all, and second of all, like just do one and then mirror it to the other side. Remember that when you were working on any kind of asset, it's very, very important to always like take a step back and evaluate where certain things or how we're gonna approach certain things to make sure that that we are as efficient as possible. So in this particular case, you can see that this thing is pretty much like a border. So I'm gonna break symmetry here. It's gonna start here in the border, and it goes pretty much straight out. I'm gonna change on the mask options. I'm gonna change the focal shift all the way to 100, so that it's super straight. We're gonna clean this mask as best as we can. So we're gonna have this thing go in, it goes down, and we're gonna clean this shape, don't worry, but it's a good idea again too. So like keep it as clean as possible here. There we go. XA Nation says, hey, hope you're doing great and getting better. Just watch your other video and someone mentioned J Hill. If you don't mind to tell me what was about J Hill. I think they were talking about making a living as a 3D artist. He recently released a video on that topic, which is a very common question that we get. It's like, how much can I make? Can I have a good living with like being a 3D artist? And the answer, as I've always said, is yes. But you need to understand that there's different sort of like brackets or goals depending on where you want to go. Diso, thanks for the sub, man. Thank you, thank you. Do I do game development? Yes, that's what we do on the studio. The studio that I have, it's a small studio. Right now, it's only five people with us on the studio. Some of them are admins, so it's not all of them artists. And in that studio, what we do is we create VR experiences for museums. So I normally do part of the like the programming inside of Unreal to get the experience to work. So it's like 7-8 minute experiences. It's like multiple mini games and things like that. And depending on the museum we're working with, it's going to be different topics. So that's what we do as just a small developments. Let's go over here. So subtool, and we're gonna extract this. Extract 0. There we go. So this is the piece that we want. Perfect. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use my knife curve to clean it up a little bit. Well, I might need to give it a little bit of thickness. So I'm gonna go gonna go geometry, dynamic subdiv, dynamic, no smooth, we just want thickness. Oh, that's too much. Just a little bit like that, there we go. And look at this, this is awesome. So I'm gonna apply, we're gonna dynamesh with a high resolution, probably a little bit higher. There we go. And now we're gonna start cleaning. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna clean the front, like that, and I'm gonna clean the back. So that should give us a very clean piece on both axes, right? Like front and back. And then all of these elements right here, I'm gonna start cleaning as well. So this is how you can create. Oh no, don't crash ZBrush. Please. You can do it, man. You were doing so good. Oh man. Welcome to the life of a 3D artist, guys. Let's see. I've done vintage multimeter model, having doubts how to do texture for it has reading or vintage multimeter model. I'm not sure, Gotham. If you want, just share it on the Discord, and that might be a little bit better. Yes, of course I can move that. I'm gonna have it right here, okay? So that you can see the brush. By the way, would you make a particular course for hand painting, stylized painting, cell shading, and Substance Painter? I have a video. You can check it out, Dream. It's on the YouTube channel. It's called Stylized or Hand Painted Style in Substance. You can look for that one. That will give you a very like basic idea of how to do sort of like hand painted style. I'm thinking about doing something hand painted related soon, but there's things. I'm waiting for a couple of things there to see if I can do something really cool there for you guys. Any advice on a situation where is your portfolio tailored towards realism, but you only bump into casual and mobile game art jobs? That is a great freaking question, my friend. Great question. I have to redo this. Let's check. Let's just check if we have a quick save right here. We might. Mike, thank you, my friend, my brother. Thank you, bro. Thank you for the like. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. I just want to see if I was able to save something. No, nothing. Okay. Cool. So nothing was saved. Yeah, and it goes crazy with that brush that I was trying to use there. What's the word? The
Let's do the arm. I don't want to work on the stone now. Let's do the arm. The knife brush tends to do that quite a bit. It's one of those sort of like finicky knives or brushes. Okay, so here for the arm, we're pretty much there. The thing that we can do is we can maybe accentuate a little bit of the muscles some more, and we can start cleaning up certain things. Now, one thing that you are going to see on this one is that right now it's all Dynamesh. And Dynamesh is fine for sculpting details, but there's going to be a point, and this is a good example of it, where you already have the forms where they need to be, and now we want to focus a little bit more on details. So Dynamesh is not really good unless you go really, really high for detail handling. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be duplicating this, and I'm just going to transfer all of those details into a clean subdivision mesh. And to do that, I'm just going to use a C-ray mesher here. Maybe you could do a review of current project people are working, like the portfolio review with projects people are currently working on, shows how you would approve it or what to improve. You mean like a work in progress sort of thing? Yeah, that could work. I had a series back in the old channel that was called Art Support or something like that, I think I called it. And it was something similar, like people would submit their works, and I would like I don't want to say fix them, but I would work on them as if they were like my files, and I would show what I would change and things like that. We might do something like that. I think that could be a good video. Let's see. Alec, thank you, my friend, and then thanks for being here as well. No, I have not printed the Doom mask. I'm waiting for more filament. I only have one spool left, and it's gonna be roughly one spool for the full thing. That's gonna be like half a spool, so I'm waiting on. Okay, cool. So as you can see now, we have a subdivision surface here with the character's body, and this is gonna make it a lot easier to work with the character itself. And we can start adding more details. For instance, here on the arm, there's usually a little bit of a muscle that goes in this direction. I mean, it's gonna be covered by some of the bandages. Oh no, the bandages are a little bit higher. Okay. So I'm just gonna add the effect right there, and then with clay buildup, I'm gonna carve a little bit on one side, carve a little bit on the other side, add a little bit on one side, add a little bit on the other side, and that way we build up the muscle. Remember, all of this is gonna be baked down, right? Like we're not gonna like retopologize every single like muscle fiber or anything, but we just want to have the information there. And then I always go over it with a little bit of a clay buildup to fill it with a little bit of fat and skin, because otherwise like the characters start looking way too like ripped, right? Like they look extremely strong, and that's not what we want. Aaron, what's up, man? Do you have symmetry turned on? Yes, I do. Right now I do. And another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start cleaning all of these things right here, all of the like brush strokes that we had from the clay buildup. So we're now in what we call, or like to call, the polish stage, right? So we're now gonna start being a little bit more careful about where and how we build the character. For instance, here on the hand, let me isolate it a little bit so we can work nicer. So on the hand, on the wrist, all of the tendons and all of the tendons of the muscles from the forearm go into the palm, and they go through this portion called the carpal tunnel, right? Carpal means like hand, so tunnel, of course, it's a tunnel. This is the tunnel that goes to the hand, and usually you're gonna see two big tendons going there. So it's gonna be like something like this, and to really like push them out, I'm gonna carve a little bit on the sides, like that. And that's going to give us a little bit of form on the hand, because all of these things right here are sort of like surrounded by a cover. It's kind of like a bandage of tissue, connective tissue, that holds all of the tendons together. For us as artists, a very sort of like unfortunate common thing is we get something called carpal tunnel syndrome, where this part of the hand gets inflamed, right? We get some inflammation there, and it hurts. I haven't gotten it, to be honest, and I'm very thankful, but I would say I'm still young. Usually I hear people who are like close to their 40s or their 50s getting a little bit of this, especially if they work a lot of time. So what's the best advice for this? Move your wrists, okay? So every now and then do a couple of like wrist exercises. Stand up from your computer as well to keep your waist and your hips like healthy, if you can go to the gym and stuff like that.
But yeah, exercise your wrists. Otherwise, because we're all the time like this, there's a lot of pressure building up here, and that's one of the things that causes carpal tunnel syndrome. Some people use some wrist supports. That's perfectly fine. I personally have these things right here, sort of like the little cushiony things for the mouse. So when I'm working, my hands are resting there, and you don't get as much. Luca, for mentorship, you can send me a DM on Discord. However, I have like very few spots now. Like a couple of weeks ago, I had like 3 spots. I think right now I only have like 1. I need to check my calendar because I'm trying to not book too many things. Otherwise, I'm never gonna be able to work. So just send me a DM on Discord. I'll send you the info, and if you want and it works for you, we can talk about a session. I'm probably gonna be adding that. I don't know. Maybe we should add that into the website, like whether there are spots available or not, with all the info. I'll think about that. Let's see. So sorry how the guy who worked on Alduin, the dragon from Sonic, got bad case of car. Yeah. I've heard like horrible stories, and that's one of the the bad things about the industry. Especially in some studios. I don't want to say every single studio, but in some studios, there's a lot of crunch, right? So they tell you, hey, this thing needs to ship in 2 weeks. So for the next 14 days, you're gonna stay here, like including Sundays, and you're gonna be working. They usually pay overtime, which is not bad, right? Like you get a little bit of extra money there. But your body, like, it definitely feels it, right? Like it's not something that you can just ignore for a long time. So people who have been doing a lot of crunch or a lot of overtime, who have been sitting for a long time, all that kind of stuff, it can really, really affect them. Okay, here's where the elbow is going to be. And elbows are always tricky, man. Like, to me, elbows have always been tricky. Because some people have very small elbows, almost like a round, and some other people have like really, what's the word? Really bony elbows. See, this is a good reference. I'm not sure who sculpted this. This is just Google Images, but that's a really good reference. So this is where the tricep is going to be. The tricep has 2 heads, and then it has a big tendon right here. So that tendon right there is going to be a little bit flatter. It's not going to be as intense. You will see a little bit of bumpiness though, due to the skin and stuff like that. We can add something following the tricep right there. Then one head of the tricep is going to follow this direction right here and go to the elbow. And the other head of the tricep is going to be on this part right here. All of this we cover on the anatomy course, by the way. And this is where the elbow is going to be. And there's a very funny thing with the elbow. You guys can do this. If you go and touch your elbow, you can pretty much use 2 fingers to follow the road of the elbow all the way to this little bone that we have right here, where the pinky finger is. That is the ridge of the ulna. Okay, this is the ulna. That's the name of the bone, and it goes all this way. Now here we're gonna have something called the epicondyles, which are some bone landmarks that usually create a little bit of a depression, like you're seeing right there. That muscle that you see right there, that's the anconeus muscle. It's a very small muscle right there. And here's where we're gonna see the sort of like the bump of the elbow. And this point is very important because when you rake a character, you need to know where the elbow is so that you can find where things are gonna be like bending from. There we go. Then we smooth things out. Remember, we don't want to have a lot of information here. On the inside is where we're gonna have some of the flexor muscles that go towards the arm. Just gonna add a little bit of volume right there. Let's see. Hey, which part of the body do you consider the hardest to sculpt? Whether it's due to the parts of it, most of the connections, like the knee connection, the elbow right here, hands are always tricky as well. But to me, when I was a student, the part that I always struggled the most is exactly this one, the forearm. For some reason, like my mind always has a little bit of an issue comprehending the forearm. So this is one of the parts that I still go and look for reference just to get the best possible result. Because if I don't, I know I'm gonna be messing some stuff up. Forearm is my sort of like my weak spots.
for my characters. And that's something that you guys are gonna find on everything you do, not only 3D related. There's always gonna be things that you're not that good at, right? So I feel like I can sculpt good chests, good legs, good faces. With arms, oh man, I always struggle a little bit with arms. And female arms, dude, I'm doing a female character. I'll probably show that one later. That's just for personal stuff. Oh boy, that one was a tricky one. Had to spend a lot of time tweaking to make sure that it looked right. Actually, this thing right there, I just realized that that's the right arm. So it will be this one right here. How do I know that this is the right arm? Because of this muscle right here. This is called the extensor carpi radialis longus, and it goes a little bit higher than the arm. So it starts a little bit higher on the arms like section, and that's why I know that that one is the right arm. Quick question by Empress Tiramisu says, my hobby has some steel models I had the right idea of possibly animating using for Unreal Engine. However, I know they're not made for that, so many vertices and triangles. You need to retopologize. That's pretty much the only way to do it, Tiramisu. Unless they're like robots or like stone guardians or things like that, where you could split them into parts and rig them with nanite. That could be another potential solution. But yeah, that's the problem with like miniature STLs. They're not made for production. They're not made for games or for animation. They're made for 3D printing, and that's it. And it's fine, right? Like that's a perfectly valid use of the technology. But it's just that it's a different process. Let's see. I missed some questions here on YouTube. Luca, yes, just go on Discord, find my username on the right side, click on it, and send me a DM, and I'll answer after the stream, okay? Could you explain the difference between trim dynamic, trim adaptive, and H polish? That's a great question. So trim dynamic will analyze the different directions or normals of the element, right? And it will find the average. So if I hit strongly with trim dynamic right here, we have this curvature going on. And if I do this, it's going to be flat pretty much against the camera, right? Because that's the direction of the normal. For polish, it will just try to flatten the elements towards the direction of the brush. So whatever face I click, this one is facing the camera, that's the direction it's going to try to flatten. If I pick this one right here, as you can see, it tries to flatten to that direction right there. So it doesn't average things out. It just grabs all of the things that are within the brush and it flattens them to that specific, like, normal. And the other one, which one was the other one that you asked for? Trim adaptive. I don't think I used that one as much, to be honest. Oh wow, that's just very strong. It will find the plane. It will find the plane of the face. Like if I click this face, it will flatten everything to that particular like face. It's actually not bad. Like for hard surface, that looks very nice. I haven't used it a lot, this one, to be honest. But yeah, that's pretty much the difference. Can you do Wukong 1 model as such in game, sir? I could. I've done like staffs before. I was actually looking at, I told you guys, I was playing a little bit of Wukong yesterday, and one thing that I noticed is that, first of all, the art is beautiful. Like, the character design and everything is just freaking amazing. But there are certain weapons, like the staff, that I thought, I don't know how a student, like if a student did the staff, I'm not sure how you could present it, because without the whole context, like without Wukong, even though the staff is very pretty, it would be very difficult to fit into like a portfolio piece. So that's one of those cases where it might be worth it to do more stuff, like the whole character in this case, to really showcase your skills, because otherwise it's just difficult to showcase your work, right? Like it just doesn't look as appealing just by itself. Is 3D art hard, especially environment art? Because I want to learn Blender soon. Faris, you know what? I'm gonna say it. Yes, it's hard. Like it's not nuclear science, right, or rocket science, as they say. But it does require time and effort, guys. This is one of the things that we were talking about on the video from this week, right? Like people are getting too scared about AI and things like that because they think, oh, AI is making this way too easy. Now everyone's gonna be doing 3D. No. Yes, AI is simplifying some of the things, not to the best of results. If we are frank about that. You still need to learn. Like, it's not a skill that no one can learn. Like, you don't need to be a genius to be an artist. However, you do need to spend some time and effort into learning the things. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? See,
Actually, oh man, I'm gonna go nuclear now. This is one of the big problems about the game industry and the film industry and all of the things that we do. A lot of the people, not a lot, well, a percentage of the people that get into this industry get in it because they love games, they love films, and they think that just because they love games and they love films, they're gonna love making them. Those two things are not equal, okay guys? They're completely different. You might love games a lot, you might love movies a lot, but the process of making them is a whole different thing. So if you don't love the process of making it, if you don't love UVs, if you don't love retopology, if you don't love setting up materials and making sure your render times are good, then you're not gonna enjoy this career. And my advice to those people would be, you might be better off looking for a different path in your life and keep playing games and keep playing or watching videos and watching films. But doing games and consuming entertainment or playing games are two completely different things. And another very common misconception is that people think, oh, I'm really good at playing games, that means that I'm gonna be really good at making them. No, that's not always the case. There's some gamers that are really good artists as well, but there's also a lot of artists that don't even play games. Like, for instance, I play very, very little games, to be honest, and the games I play, especially the competitive ones, I'm not even that good. Like, I'm not like a top tier player. I just enjoy them and that's it. But I really enjoy making the 3D stuff for games. So you really need to understand that those are two different things, okay? One thing is to make games and one thing is to play games. Yes, they can interweave and you can have a little bit of both sides, but if you don't enjoy making games and you think you will just because you enjoy playing games, you might be in the wrong place, okay guys? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind there. Oh no, there really are. And here's another one, like especially here in Mexico, for whatever reason, we as a culture, I'm not sure if this is global, you guys might be able to tell me, but here in Mexico, people really don't like mathematics and hard things as much. So a lot of people go into design, into graphic design, or into this kind of stuff like game development and things like that, because they go through that sort of like thought process, like, I like games, I don't like math, I want to have fun, I'll do games. Making games is fun, but it's not fun because we're making games. It's fun because you like the process of making them, and there is math involved, there is technical things involved, there are like a lot of complexity in it. So it's very, very interesting, or it's very, very important that you understand that's not easy. That's the thing. And that was the question, right? Like, is it easy to make games? Well, it's not easy because it's a skill. You still need to learn the basics of the skill. You still need to learn like all of the ins and outs of how things work. Is it fun? I personally enjoy it, but I have friends, for instance, I'm gonna give you another example. I don't like animation. Like, I love seeing good animation, like Spider-Verse and things like that. Even Wukong yesterday, I was like watching the animations. I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But if you tell me, hey, Abe, would you like to be hired at the top AAA studio to do animation? No, thank you. I can't. Animation for me is very, very time consuming, and I don't enjoy the process of animation. Therefore, I'm not a good fit to be an animator, and I need to understand that. That doesn't mean that I cannot enjoy animation, or that I won't do animation every now and then, but it's not what I want to do all the time. So it's very, very important that you are very aware of all of the intricate like elements and things that you need to know about any industry. Again, this is not only for the game industry, this is for any industry, because things are not easy. So you gotta pick what not easy thing you want to learn, and you better pick right, because if you pick right, you're gonna have a great time. Even though it won't be easy, you will enjoy the ride. Let's see, make me wonder what made you get into the 3D industry. What caught more your attention? Oh, that's a great question, Alligator. I'll answer it. Let me just check some more questions here. How did you keep hard edges when subdivided low poly mesh? Because I recently made an armor. You need to add support edges or bevel them or something. You can even use crease. I personally don't like using crease as much, but you can use crease. That works. Yeah, you need to persevere, Rixu. That's right. You need to persevere, and it's difficult. Like, it does have its level of complexity. It's not a walk in the park, right? And again, this goes for every industry, every single industry. Now, we don't really need to add too much detail on the back because it's going to be covered. And this is a very like important question that that often gets asked. Should we keep this tabard a single sort of like sheet of clay, or should we give it thickness? The answer is, again, as with everything, it depends. If we're going to be simulating this tabard as a, what's the word, as a sort of
like a dynamic cloth and stuff like that, you might want to keep it as a single piece, because otherwise it's going to be very complex to simulate. But if you want to do it as a chunky piece of clay, like for, again, hand-painted games and things like that, a little bit of thickness might not be wrong. Here, what I'm probably going to be doing is this top part of the tabard, I will give it thickness so that it's easier to retopologize and it's easier to texture and everything. And then this lower part of the skirt, I might keep it thin so that when we, if we animate or rig this guy, we could use simulation of this part so it floats a little bit freely, and we get a nicer result. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Elemento, but the same thing for environment, man. Like, I've done environments before, and I'm doing the environment course right now. However, I've done more characters than I've done environments, and there's a lot of information in environment art, like a lot of technical information as well that people just like don't really like consider. Okay, so let's start doing some of those like skin bumps. I'm not sure what they are. Kind of looks like scales. I was thinking about doing separate, but it's fine. We can keep them in a single one. How do we know whether to keep something as a single piece or a separate piece? If it doesn't change the silhouette too much, you might want to keep it as a single piece. If it does change the silhouette quite a bit, it might be better to keep it as a separate piece. And I'm still gonna like smooth them or blur them out a little bit. Like the texture, difference, the color difference in the texture is what's gonna give these things the important thing. Now here, one thing that's very important, and I don't see it too much on the concept, but I'm gonna do it, is whenever you see patterns in nature, so for instance when you are seeing a giraffe or a zebra, they never just stop. There's always like a gradient of the patterns sort of like fading out into another type of pattern or another type of like a tissue. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm adding this very, very small little like elements right there to really fade them out. There we go. Now, someone was asking what got me into making games. That's a great question, man. As for media, like the thing that inspired me the most when I saw that, I was like, what the hell, I want to know how to do that, was the World of Warcraft's Wrath of the Lich King cinematic. When I saw that cinematic, I was like, I can't believe there's someone out there making this, and I don't know what it takes, but I want to know how to do that. Later on, I realized that it's not one person, right? It's a whole team. And I had a discussion with a cousin a couple of years ago. He was like, oh, you could totally do a Blizzard cinematic stuff for yourself. So like, no, dude, I cannot. That's not possible. It will take me years to master all of the skills that I need to do that. And even then, it will take me more years to do all of the assets that are needed. Like, that's a team effort. So it's a stupid to think that you could do it by yourself. But I could definitely do a character of that level, or I could do an asset of that level. So that's possible, and that's what inspired me. It's like, I want to learn how to do that, and that's how I started looking for schools, looking for places to learn, and that's how I found Noman. That's how I got there. There we go. Cool. So that's the effect right there. Now we're gonna start adding a couple of wrinkles. So I'm gonna go with Damien Standard now. And then we're gonna start adding a couple of wrinkles on the areas that are the most commonly get wrinkles, right? So this is again a little bit of skin texture. I don't think we really need to add too much skin texture, because again, I really want to go for this sort of like hand-painted style later on. So I don't want to have like pores and things like that. I just want to have a clean surface, but I do want to have some of the details already sort of like baked in. For instance, here on the wrist, we can add a couple of wrinkles. It's always a good idea to literally look at yourself. Like, you have hands right here, so use them as a reference as well. Like, nothing wrong with that. Let's see. Hey, Abe, have a day off, so I get to see you in real time. Thank you for spending your own time and providing top-tier training and mentorship to our community. Wolver! Thank you, Wolver. And welcome. Enjoy your free day as well. Blizzard set a high standard for animated video games since their Warcraft. Yes, they did. They did. It's a shame that they've sort of like dropped the ball a little bit. I've heard David can confirm that the new expansion is really good. Ah, man, I'm really tempted. But again, if I start playing, you guys are gonna lose a YouTube creator here, because I'm just gonna play all the time. No, and I have a small kid, so she demands quite a bit of attention right now. I've been playing Genshin Impact. The new thing, the new expansion came out, Natlan, and that's based on Mexico as well a little bit. So I've been playing that, and I enjoyed that one because I only need to play it for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, do the quests, complete some of the stuff, and then you're good to go. Scorch, thank you, Scorch. Welcome to the channel. Can you print carbon fiber in an FDM printer? There are special printers that can. I've heard that the what's the word? That the filament is very rough, so it's gonna like damage or make your nozzle like fail a little bit earlier than traditional PLA or AVS, because it's very abrasive. It's kind of like an abrasive, but you need to print at really high temperatures, really high temperatures. If you do, make sure to make a guild called ZBrush. This is not looking bad, right? Do you guys like this hand so far? We stole this hand, by the way, from the Oni. So the base mesh was the Oni. I saved myself a little bit of time there. But the details now are these characters. Let's see. I want to block out ZBrush rocks in ZBrush. How can I do it? I'm not gonna do it right now. Harsh, I was about to do it, but if it crashes, and let me just do a save right now before anything bad happens. But you can just use the knife brush. Actually, chapter 2 of the new course, it's all about rocks. We do rocks, we do walls, we do rubble, we do a lot of things. That one's already finished. It looks quite nice. So we're gonna be covering that on a new course. Again, let's clean a little bit of the brush strokes. I've seen people who, when they sculpt hands, they go like hyper realistic. I've never been a hyper realist kind of guy. Like, I don't like it. Like, I've never done like a digital double. I've done a little bit of likeness, but I always do a little bit of stylization. I don't like hyper realism, but that's just personal choice. I feel like it takes too much time, and nowadays with photogrammetry, you could just scan the actor and it's gonna be faster and more accurate. When you experience creative burnout, how long do you usually take a break from 3D, and what activities help you recharge? I personally turn to Minecraft. That's a great question. Oh, the longest I've gone, it's probably like 10 days. But here's the thing. Thankfully, I'm in this like very lucky position where I got multiple like jobs. I teach at a university. I have this YouTube channel and the content and all the stuff, the tutorials. I have the studio. So if I burn out at something, since I need to fulfill my responsibilities, it just kind of like forces me to start over or to just keep on working. But for instance, when I'm recording the premium courses, that's when I get a little bit of the burnout. Sometimes I spend like a week, 2 weeks without recording anything for the course, and then I have like bursts of inspiration and I record like non-stop for 3 days, and I record like 10 hours of content. So it really depends. But I try to play games. I've been reading a lot. That has helped me quite a bit, I think. I've been reading the Stormlight Archive from Brandon Sanderson. That one has been really, really inspiring. It's a really good series, by the way, if you guys like fantasy. Top-notch stuff. Daddy Streams, thanks for the sub, my friend, and welcome. Miguel Hernandez, back to the Goblin. After 2 hours, I don't know why I get bored and distracted. Is there any way on trips? Yes, so normally, Dreamcatch, I like to follow the Pomodoro technique. I've mentioned this before. This is a sort of like time management technique that says you're gonna work for 25 minutes non-stop, no distractions, no YouTube, no Facebook, no TikTok or Instagram, no nothing, and then you get 5 minutes of a break and you can do whatever you want. So what I do normally is I'll record like a video or 2 videos for 20, 25, 30 minutes, and then I'll play a chess game for 6 minutes, like a quick blitz game, and then back to the recording, and then another little game. And after you do 4 of those cycles, 4 of those 5 cycles, you take a long break, which can be 30 minutes. I sometimes take an hour, go for lunch or go check on my family and see if everything's fine. And then I'll come back and you repeat the cycle again. Because there's this very interesting thing about us artists, and probably everyone here has experiences, which is called the zone, where you really get inspired and you just like everything disappears around you, and you get there and you just like hyper focus on something, right? And the only way to get in the zone is by having this sort of like a ramp up period and start working. Like it's not possible for you to just sit down and be like, I'm in the zone, let's work. Like that doesn't happen. So you gotta start. You start working. You start like moving clay, pushing pixels, and once you've been doing that for a little bit, you will get in the zone. And at that point, I stop using the Pomodoro technique and I just go with the flow. I just sculpt or record or do whatever it is I'm doing for as long as I can. But it is important to take a break, I would say, every 2 hours. That's actually a good amount of time. Because you need to stretch, move your legs, go for water, go to the bathroom, you know, stuff like that. Do I have to have drawing skills to become a 3D character artist? Michael, that's a great question, Michael. And we had that discussion a couple of weeks ago. That was a short that we did. Here's my answer after reading some of the opinions there. You don't really need to be great at drawing to be great or good at 3D, but there was one comment that I totally agree with that said, not every great 3D artist knows how to draw, but every single amazing artist, like the top guys, know traditional art. So it's not really going to impede the fact that you're going to be a 3D artist, but it will heavily help you if you want to push to sort of like new levels. I know very basic about drawing, but I can't like draw if I had to. I know about traditional sculpt. I've done traditional sculpt before and I really enjoyed that one. Someone asked me that question as well, like if 3D dies, what are you gonna do? Probably be a traditional sculptor, you know, bronze statues and things like that. Like that I could totally see myself going into the fine art route and doing something like that. But yeah, it's definitely gonna help. It's definitely gonna help. Solam says Brando Sando is my favorite alive author. Yeah, he's really good. He's really good, man. I'm reading Dawn Shard right now. I finished Oathbringer a couple of days ago, so I'm reading Dawn Shard, which is like the interlude, and then straight into Rhythm of War, book 4. Hopefully, I'll be able to finish it before December, so that I can jump straight into Wind and Truth and avoid any spoilers. Okay. I'm just gonna start pushing the silhouette a little bit here on the arm, just to get something a little bit more interesting. This again, a little bit of stylization, but I feel it's gonna really help the character. And that's it. With that done, like that's I would say that's the arms. Like at this point, we're ready to jump into retopology with the arms and start working on the textures. There we go. What happened to the Unreal course? Still working on it, Krishna. Still working on it. It's a very ambitious course. I'm trying to cover a lot of stuff. But hey, I mean, you guys can tell me. What do you prefer? Do you prefer one long course, like 20, 30, 40 hours? Or do you prefer like 2 or 3 smaller courses? Because if you guys prefer smaller courses, I could start releasing like environment part 1, environment part 2. We cover some of the tools, and at the end of the journey, you get the full environment. But I don't really think people would love that. So in this case, I just ask for a little bit of patience. Because as you guys know, I always like to deliver something that's of quality. So yeah, did this start from a vase or just a sphere? It started from a sphere. This one started from a sphere a couple of weeks ago. Key 9 cube. I think I still have it. Yeah, so this was the very basic block out that we did, and now we're here. Thank you, K9. Thank you. We got an anatomy course there if you want to check it out. I teach all of my little secrets and techniques there. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm gonna split this thing, the tabard, and to do that we need to cut it. So I'm gonna go here to the midsection right there, and I'm going to say subtool, split hidden. There we go. So now the skirt of the tabard is a different piece. And this piece right here, we're going to go to geometry, dynamic subdiv, turn it on. And I'm going to use thickness here. Now, how thick should this be? Again, due to the type of character that I want to do, I'm going to go a little bit thick, like this. I know it looks weird, but it's easier to have a thicker character like this than it is to have a very thin element, because otherwise it becomes, again, very difficult to retopologize. And here, as you can see, there's a lot of like floating bits and things, so we need to sort of like move things in a little bit so they're not touching the character as badly, right? This is one of the things that not a lot of people think about when they're doing their characters, and I feel like that's one of the things that has helped me quite a bit by producing our own sort of like assets and stuff for our VR games. Like, I already know where some things are going to be problematic in the rigging stage or in the retopology stage. So that right there is what we're looking for. Here's another thing. Like, I know that even though I would love for this to be asymmetrical, it's just going to be too much. It's just going to be too much. So let's apply this. So I'm just going to mirror and weld. At this point, even though, again, I would love for this to be asymmetrical, from a production perspective, it's going to be more work. And we got to be smart about where we want to have that sort of like work. And now that we have this, the cool thing is, and you can notice here on the concept, is that this thing has some like little like cuts and stuff, so we can add those. Thanks to the fact that we have thickness, we can add those little details in the cloth to make it look a little bit more interesting. Definitely gonna give it a subdivision level. Gonna use trim dynamic here, and we can damage a little bit of the border. And even though it's symmetrical, it's far enough on the symmetry plane that you don't really see them both at the same time. So it's a good way to add a little bit of visual interest without really destroying the whole thing. Let's see. I love to know how you do that without getting attached to that quick sculpt. I feel like every little thing I do in Serious is my baby and want to see it through. Is that for me? Oh no, key 9 cube. Oh, I missed that. I missed that message. Oh yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that 30-minute like quick sketch just to get things going. That's a great way to start your day. No, normally my day I start answering emails, checking comments, all that stuff, and then I jump into. I usually have a mentorship session early in the morning, and then I'll jump into recording. Soon, my friend. Isketo, soon. It's coming up soon. I feel like Blizzard now with their soon the TM, where they are like, it's coming. Believe me, guys. This week I did made a good progress, but it's an ambitious course. For every 4 short course, do a long one. Yeah, that could also work. Like after the environment course, I'm definitely gonna be doing a short course. I hope by that time the Marmoset 5 stuff is out, and that could be a really good course, because that one's usually fast. Like I can teach Marmoset in like 10 hours probably. But we'll see. We'll see. There we go. As you can see, the tabard now looks a little bit nicer. I don't like the folds that we're getting here, so we definitely need to clean them up a little bit. Especially here on the symmetry line, that's where things get like, ugh, that looks very ugly. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna start straightening things up. We might need to jump into Dynamesh, to be honest, at this point, because there's some stuff that we need to fix here. Remember that we brought this tabard from what's the word, from Marbles, so it had sort of like realistic folds going on. Gonna add some tension lines right there, going towards the belts. There we go, that looks good. Go. Gotta be careful there not to be hitting the backside too much. Yeah, it seems to be working fine. There we go. Let's see. Michael, it's soon, guys. The answer to the environment course is soon. I can definitely see that you guys are really looking forward to it. So that's gonna motivate me to finish it sooner or faster. But it's soon. I feel bad, guys. I honestly feel bad that I haven't been able to release it. First, we got the leg injury on July, and that pretty much killed the whole month. August, I was able to make a good advancement, but it was not enough. In this month, I'm moving forward. That's why I also recorded the little like gift for you from last week, the portfolio course that's free, to get you to give me a little bit more time. So hopefully you guys can be just a little bit more patient. I promise it's gonna be a good one, but I do need a little bit more time. Have you ever commissioned an artist to make a concept art for you? Yes, all the time. Ed Fox, I'm not sure if he's here right now. He usually drops by every now and then. He is a very good friend of mine. He's a concept artist, and I've commissioned him to do several of the concept arts, like Gabala, Thyros, one of my famous courses from the old channel. Those were done by him. So he did. I did, of course, the story, the idea, and then he did the general concept. Okay, let's go on the jumper that he has. So he's got this very funny sort of like shirt jumper thingy, which is this one right here. There we go. So we also need to start like playing a little bit with this. So what I'm just gonna do here is I'm just gonna give it a little bit of smoothness, and then increase the resolution and dynamesh. That's it. So that we got some smooth effects right there. We got a little bit of an issue right there. That's unfortunate. So let's fix it with some inflate. Wait a second. Let's do symmetry. There we go. Dynamesh. That should fill it in. I'm hearing rumblings of a new environment course. Yeah, definitely. Do you have a plans on making a course for like a mecha or hard surface focus design? No, not really. And the reason is I'm not really a hard surface guy, but we are looking at the option of bringing someone who could do something like that. I have this one right here that I really want to do. It's been sitting here on my desktop for a long time now. Where is it? Hey, where is it? There we go. Like this revolver right here, I want to do it sort of like for cinematics. So subdivision workflow, very tight geometry, UDIVs, all that sort of stuff. I was thinking about doing it here for YouTube, but honestly, YouTube doesn't like guns. So I might be, this might be a good hard surface course, I think. It's not super complex though, like it's not a mecha or like a super complex sci-fi thing, but it will teach you some basic stuff about like, again, good topology, edge flow, and that sort of stuff. So that might be a possible project. I need to contact the artist though and ask for permission. Normally you don't need to contact the artist. It's always a good idea to contact the artist, but normally you don't need to. I need to because if I am going to sell a course that's using his concept, that is commercial use. So I either need to buy a license or commission an artwork, right? Or just ask for permission. Like Max Zaslavsky, I think is his name. He's the guy that did the Oni, and he just was very kind and he gave us permission to use it. There we go. Are you going to keep working on the last week's short? Yes, we're going to be doing retopology for that one soon. I think I'm going to do a topogun video because we haven't really done a topogun video. We did the topogun course, but we haven't done a topogun video for the channel, and I really want to do one. We might even have a code for people there to get like a discount. But remember, if you get the topogun course on our site, you get access to a 20% discount on the topogun license, which is great. Because that's a perpetual license. And topogun is, like, if you're doing game stuff, it's a must-have. Okay, look at this. This is gonna be important. Let's hide the body. Oh, I'm getting excited, guys. I got a little bit of a goosebump right there because I was looking at everything. I was like, oh, this is looking nice. Like, this could potentially be one more portfolio piece for me. I haven't really updated my portfolio with personal stuff in a while. I definitely need to do that. And I think this guy could potentially be one of them. So I'm adding a little bit of like wrinkles here. which is where the shirt is gonna meet the belts. We have right there. There we go. That looks nice, right? Like that little detail right there, like straight, and then a little bit of like crunchiness there. Not bad. Not bad. It must feel really good to be able to craft model like this. Empress, yes, but I've shown you my stuff before, right? Look at this. This is one of the reasons why I don't remove some of my old pieces from my portfolio. No, not that one. Or station. Like, look at this. This was one of my first characters. I did this 10 years ago. And I was proud of this back then. Like, I'm still proud of young Abe being able to do this character back in the day, because it looked cool. The render sucks. Looks like shit. And some of the alphas and the missing map that I added also looks like shit. The poly is very low poly. Like, there's so many mistakes on this character, but I did this 10 years ago. And I've shown this before. Like, this one right here evolved into this one. So this is the character, sort of like the evolution of that character. It's a like alien race that I created called the Akrok. And I can see my improvement. And this was, what, like last year or like 2 years ago? I think I did this like 2 years ago. I only uploaded it last year, but I did like 2 years ago. So, there we go. Annie says, I'm a junior 3 artist in a company where build films is done. My dream is to become an environment artist. In which industry will be good and how much difference in both industries? I think there's more work for environment artists in games. I think. At least from what I've seen. Because usually games have more levels and things like that. In film, there's usually sets. So there's a lot of work for environment artists in films as well. But I see more positions opening for games, I think. So you might wanna focus on that a little bit more. There we go. Oh my god, look at those wrinkles. Hey! Damn, dude, you've improved. Cloth was always one of the things that I struggled with. So, yeah, it's always fun to be able to see your improvement as well. Let's see. Let me get the music down a little bit, because it has lyrics. I don't want them to get mixed with us. Not many people are actually talented these days, mostly drag and drop artists. Yes, I've seen that trend as well, Druck. Like, a lot of, like, in the school that I teach, they give them projects that they need to complete throughout their term, right? Like, 4 or 5 months. And sometimes I see really good 3D on the final project. It's like, damn, dude, you did this. It's like, oh, no, I just downloaded it from the Epic Store, or I just downloaded it from online or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, the result is great, and that's fine. But if you want to be a 3D artist, you should know how to do that as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of people who just do, like, drag and drop stuff, like kit bashing and things like that. What type of 3D environments industry demands? There's a lot of different types, man. But, you know, like, again, walls, pillars, columns, gates, doors, bridges. Like, there's so much stuff. So much stuff. Like, environment artists is complex, guys. There's a lot of things. And I was looking at that at the Wukong game. We might, like, turn it on before the stream ends in a while. But the environments there's a lot of photogrammetry. Like, if you're doing a lot of stones and foliage and things like that, that's very technical. It's not going to require a lot of artistic skill. It will require artistic skill. I'm just saying not a lot, because you use things that already exist in the world. You go out there, you photograph leaves, you cut them out, you generate the maps, you create a bush that looks like the one in the real world. Same for trees, stuff like that. But if you're doing things that don't exist in the real world, that's where things get tricky, right? September, the portfolio review is gonna be opening. I'm gonna say let's do Monday, okay? We're gonna open the portfolio review on Monday, guys. So stay tuned for that post on the Discord channel. What are your thoughts on photogrammetry? I have used it. It's really good. The most useful is when you want realistic stuff, and there are some, like, time constraints. Like, here, for instance, let's imagine I live in this city called Saltillo. Let me see if I can find one of the statues on the center, or whatever. Let's say someone is telling me, hey, we are gonna do something and we need you to do this statue for whatever. It's gonna be way faster and way easier for me to go out here to wherever this statue is, take pictures and do a photogrammetry scan of this thing, and then
either use it or use it as a base to sculpt the final result, right? Because otherwise it's just going to be too much time trying to match it perfectly. So when you want perfect accuracy on certain things, photogrammetry is just excellent. And it's an excellent tool to, what's the word? Yeah, to generate like elements and meshes. The problem with photogrammetry, or where I see photogrammetry having a little bit of a hard time, is you need to be able to optimize it. If you don't know how to optimize photogrammetry, you can get into serious issues depending on the platforms that you're working for. So if you're doing Unreal and you're doing Nanite, I mean, okay, whatever. You can just like ignore everything and just like literally plop your photogrammetry thing in there. But if you are going to do AR or VR, or you're going to do something that really requires performance-oriented results, you need to really know what you're doing there. Let's see. What material are you using? I can see it's starter material, but it's looking different. Yeah, this is the Glauco Longis Plastiline material. You can look him up. He's got a Gumroad, and he gives this one away for free. It's part of his like UI setup. Glauco Longi. He worked at Naughty Dog. I'm not sure if he's still there. Really talented artist as well. Really good. And he shares this material. It's called Plastiline. I really like it because it looks like clay. Is 3D environment harder than character? No, both of them are challenging, man. I would definitely say that environment, it's a little bit more technical than character. Character, it's a little bit more artistic and knowledge because of anatomy, proportions, and things like that. For environment, you need to know about how to set up materials, how to optimize assets, how to, like, there's a bunch of things that you need to do for environment. So it's another beast. And there's some environments that are like freaking impressive, like especially if you're doing like really heavy architecture things where you're matching, like, I don't know, the Vatican City or something like that. You need to be really good at modeling it, like really freaking good. Let me try doing a mirror and weld on Z. Oh, no, it has multiple subdivision. Am I? Oh, God. Good, let's do a little bit of cleanup here. Geometry, delete lower, delete hidden. I want to know if I can do a mirror and weld on C. Can I do local symmetry? There we go, perfect. So that way I only had to do it once. In this case, I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to set symmetry on Z only. There we go. Which brush? I'm just using Trim Dynamic, Clay Buildup. You know, the usual stuff. I have my interface, by the way, guys. If you want to check my interface, it's available on the resources folder on the Discord. So if you go to the Discord channel, there's going to be a channel called Official Links. And there in Official Links, there's one Google Drive folder, and it has a couple of models, textures, and things like that that I've shared throughout this year. And there you can find this UI in case you want to have it. Blend Jams, what's up, man? Welcome. How hard is it to learn Simuler? Not that hard. If you check our ZBrush course, the one with the Oni, chapter 2 is all about Simuler. So I teach you the basics. I use it not extensively, to be honest, because I was originally trained in Maya. So most of my poly modeling stuff I'll do in Maya. It's just faster for me. But if you only have ZBrush, for instance, like if you are buying a license and you only have ZBrush, learning Simuler can be very valuable because you save yourself a lot of time and you can create more advanced things. Gumball, thanks for the follow, man. I don't know why the little like jingle didn't play, but thank you, man. It's Keto says, thank you, A, for your hard work. You are awesome. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for the super there. Wow, we're getting supers now. I was not expecting that. Thank you, guys. Do you have a workflow video in which uses displacement matte rather than baking? Yes, Casey, I do. I actually shared it with David a couple of days ago. He was looking for something like that as well. It has the Kindred mask. The Kindred mask from League of Legends that we did last year. So just look, displacement maps setup. Should be there. Hey, Leal, 3D displacement. It's this one. Displacement map setup. ZBrush, Maya, and Blender workload. So I show... What's the word? I show how to do the... like how it starts in ZBrush, and then... That was the old studio, by the way. So we go through the whole, like, a generation of the maps.
we do displacement in Maya first, and then Blender. I feel like Blender is faster, to be honest. Blender is very, very simple to set up. Maya takes a little bit more calibration, but yeah, it's here. So if you want to check it out, it's on the channel. Just a Leal displacement. What book can you recommend for learning 3D environment art? I don't think I've seen a specific book about environment art, to be honest, man. What I'd like to do, Michael, is I like to go to ArtStation, and I like to go to the art dumps, as they call them, where when a game is released, like God of War, Diablo, Wukong, there's gonna be, they usually like do a dump where every single artist starts like showing all the work that they did. And if you go to the people who are doing environment arts, just by the way they're presenting stuff, you can sort of like learn how they're doing it. It's kind of like studying the competition, right? Like you study how they did it. And it's like, oh, okay, look at this. They did a kit right here. They did tileable textures over here. They did a trim sheet over here. Because I don't think I've seen a specific book. See, the problem with books, guys, someone asked me, oh, you should do an anatomy book. The problem with books is if you do a book specifically about like a software like ZBrush, it gets outdated very, very quickly due to the updates. Yes, there's still going to be valuable information there, but it gets outdated very, very fast. So books that I only recommend are books that have knowledge that it's timeless. Anatomy, gesture, proportions, color theory, composition, like those things, no matter what software you use or what like year we're living in, they're always going to be what's the word, relevant, right? However, if I have it right here, look at this. This is a jump in the past. Learning Maya 6. This book was published in, let's see, when was this published? 2004. So 20 years ago. This book was published 20 years ago. And it talks about Maya 6. It was not even owned by Autodesk at this point, I think. It was owned by Alias, which was the like the old company. So a lot of these things, they no longer work. Like, look at this. NURBS spaceship. Like, no one uses NURBS anymore. But some of the tools might work. Like, some of these elements might still work. It's just that this information is so outdated that you really don't want to spend money on this one. I got this one for free, by the way. Someone gave it to me back when I was starting. But look at this. It was $70 back in the day. So that kind of books I don't recommend because they get old very, very fast. Errol says, hello, I'm starting 3D arts and I was wondering, do you suggest Blender as a starting software? Yes, Blender is a really, really good way to get started, Errol, and just get an idea of how things are, because you might realize, hey, you know what, this is not for me, it's too much or whatever. But then you definitely want to jump into ZBrush. Like, if you want to do this professionally, right now ZBrush is one of the top, if not the top sculpting like software out there. They're going to be announcing new stuff on Tuesday, by the way, guys. We're probably going to be doing a live stream then, because they are going to be announcing ZBrush for iPad. And I really hope, because they've increased the price, so I really hope that they include some interesting things for like this ZBrush as well. So yeah, I do recommend that you learn ZBrush. It's important to learn ZBrush. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's see. So I think right now we're only missing, let's save real quick. So we need, I want to polish this guy a little bit more. This sort of like rock chest thing. I just want to like sharpen it a little bit more. So I'm just going to use a little bit of pinch to get like sharper corners there. But other than that, I think we're done on the top part of the character. Now we need to go back to that initial piece. Yeah, because these guys are ready. The head is ready. These guys are ready. That guy, the bands are ready. Oh, well, this one we need to mirror and weld. What the hell? Oh, what the hell? Mirror. Mirror and weld. There we go. Oh, no. What the hell? Mirror. There we go. Mirror and weld. Perfect. Okay. So that top part is ready. We need to go and finish this thing right here. And then we just keep moving down. The feet are gonna be tricky. We definitely are missing a little bit of work there on the feet. Ave, does your family know what you do for a living? Like, do they actually get the concept modeling and sculpting in 3D? Because mine, no, they don't. No, they really don't. I mean, they know I do video games. They know I do 3D. They know I sculpt. They know the names of the softwares like ZBrush, Maya, and stuff like that. But no, they really don't. Like, it's like they've never studied the whole pipeline, right? So of course they're not gonna know. The same way I don't know what they do for their for their own stuff. So let's do the same thing that we did on this one. I'm gonna mask out that section right there. I'm gonna show you a little trick here to clean up this mask. There we go. So I can just go to the side and clean up all that mask. There we go. That's around it. And we dynamesh with polish. Now we need to heal a couple of these areas. I'm just gonna add a little bit of volume there. Does anyone feel like no matter how much they read, they just feel like they lack the ability to grasp the concept trying to study anatomy? Oh no, you don't study anatomy. That might be one of the issues you're having, Empress. So, anatomy, I mean, you do study anatomy to know the names, to try to understand the things, but especially anatomy for artists is more about understanding the forms, okay? So it's more about the forms, not the knowledge itself. If you want to be a doctor, then yes, you need to know the function and insertion points and all that stuff. For us, it's more about where muscles go, how they behave with each other, how they connect between the different parts, the different elements. That's what we need to grasp. That's the information that we need to sort of like capture in our minds. And that's how I actually explain it on the anatomy course. We have a video about theory, and then we jump into ZBrush and I show you how to sculpt that particular part of the character. And then we have another video about the next part of the body, and I show you how to sculpt that. Because it's a lot of practice. I remember when I was learning about anatomy, like the gesture classes that I had, like the traditional drawing classes, those were very, very helpful, because seeing the nude model in front of you and being like, oh, that's the muscle, oh, that's the form, that's the shape, that's how the light wraps around that specific part. All of those things were really, really useful for that sort of thing. Yeah, anatomy for sculptors is like the Bible for 3D artists. Like, if you don't have the book, get it, because that's really, really, really good. The one thing that I don't like about that book is that it doesn't explain anything. It just shows you, right? So it's the show, don't tell stuff, which is fine. Again, to understand the forms, it can really work. But I do believe that it's good, sort of like a practice for you as an artist, or good foundational skills for you to be able to understand and say, yeah, the latissimus dorsi originates here on the back, it goes to this part here in the arm, and that sort of stuff. It doesn't explain that on that book. Empress, if you're having issues like practicing here on ZBrush, again, gesture drawing is really good. Try doing that. Try downloading some, like, there's even websites where they will place the image for you for a couple of minutes and you get to do it, because that's the sort of like skill that's going to allow you to be like, okay, I'm going to build the arm, that's the deltoid, and I know that then we have the bicep, and I know back here we have the tricep, and I know that from the tricep we're going to have the brachioradialis going forward, right? And there you go, and then you're like, okay, trapezius is going to be over here, the chest muscle is going to be over here, that's the clavicle, that's the sternum, the chest muscle is going to be right here. And even though this is super rough, you already get a very good idea of where the character is going, right? Like you get the sort of like the forms and the information about the character. That sort of stuff then translates very easily to ZBrush, and you just like take this and bring it into ZBrush and start like actually sculpting. But drawing, again, drawing, painting, all of that, it's faster. That's why I think it's a really good exercise, because with gesture drawing, you're gonna do a full body in 2 minutes, right? Like, you're just gonna try to draw all of the like forms and silhouettes and things like that in 2 minutes. So it really gets you sort of like going and understanding how to quickly like capture those forms. Then once you're inside of ZBrush, you take your time to really make it work. That's that would be my advice right there. Okay, let's do something similar here. We're gonna mask this area right there. I'm really debating this, guys, because remember I told you that this was gonna be what's the word? This is gonna be symmetrical. I don't know, because if it's asymmetrical, I think I'm gonna do it asymmetrical, guys. Again, from a production perspective, it's just a little bit easier to do it symmetrical. So here's what I'm gonna do, because we have this thing's like crossing, right, and generating this very nice sort of like form. So we're gonna keep those. I feel like that's an important part. But what we can do to still have like a cool shape while keeping it asymmetrical. Oh, wait a second. I actually. So these things go in, out, in. Go in, out, in, out, in, out. Something like that. So I'm gonna just erase on the middle, like that. And this is something that happens frequently in concept as well, or in production. There will be things that you're like, I know that's not how the concept or the original concept was, but it's gonna make it way harder, because if I want to do like mirror UVs and things like that, it's not gonna be possible with this particular piece. And again, if I do this hand painted or something, I'm gonna have to do it twice, right? I'm gonna have to paint both sides, and it's gonna make it a little bit more complex. So even though it doesn't follow 100% the spirit of the concept, we're still matching, or actually, even though it doesn't follow 100% exactly the lines of the concept, we match the spirit of the concept, which is to have this sort of like geometric pattern there on the center. This is the kind of decision that you don't take. This is something that you always talk to your art director or to your client and be like, hey, this is the situation. I can do it asymmetrical, but it's going to take me a little bit longer because I'm going to have like multiple UVs. We're not going to be able to use this technique or that technique. And they were like, oh yeah, cool, don't worry. Like, just make it like a cool pattern. That's it. And more often than not, people are going to be like, yeah, that's fine. Like, no problem. I was going to ask you that. Do you like sticking to the exact design when you sculpt? I like to stick as much as possible, but here's the thing. And if there's a 2D concept artist, I know he's going to get a little bit pissed for what I'm about to say. But concept artists don't always plant everything perfectly. And there will be areas where you're like, this does not work in the 3D world. And they're like, just like, I'm out. I've finished. I'm working on something else, so I cannot fix that concept. Just deal with it. So we as 3D artists, part of our responsibility is to change that stuff and what's the word, and find something that works, right? So in this case, this thing I think works. So let's go geometry, sorry, subtool, and let's extract this. Anthony, what's up, my friend? Welcome. All good, man. Today we just have a chill stream. It's been chill so far, right, guys? You like it so far? Okay. Let's save again, because we're gonna be using our knife brush again. Things can crash. I'm actually quite sure it will crash. Actually, I made a mistake here. Let's delete this one. I want to extract with zero thickness. So extract 0 thickness. There we go. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna try a slightly different approach here. Instead of using the knife brush, I'm gonna use the slice brush. This is a slightly different brush. What this will do is it will create polygroups, a slice group. There we go. So if I go here, I'm gonna create a polygroup right there. I'm gonna create a polygroup right there. I'm actually gonna cut this in half. There we go. I'm gonna delete or invert this direction, delete hidden, and that way we can clean things up before we do the extrusion. Let's see if it works. Sorry, I'm getting focused here a little bit. I need to make sure that my groups are as clean as possible. I'll talk in just a second. There we go. Okay, so now what we can do here is I'm gonna start selecting groups. And I'm gonna hide all of the groups that are right. So I'm gonna pretty much leave all of the other sort of like ugly borders here for now. There we go. See that? Let's hide this ugly border. There we go. And this ugly border. There we go. So now we have this very sort of like tight mesh right here. I'm gonna delete hidden. As you can see, we have a little bit of a hole right there. Here's where CModeler can really come into play, because I can go to CModeler and just fix this very quickly. I'm gonna just bridge. So bridge from here to here. What I mean, it's not symmetrical. Oh, we got an angle there. Oh, that's interesting. Let's try doing a stitch there. Which one can we use here? Not sure. Let's try just thickness then. Let's see. I'm not sure I understand what Saitlan you're talking about. What's the conversation? I'm reading both, Saitlan. I'm reading both. Yeah, ArcBeast is not just about making nice renders. There you go. This is the zone. Yeah, that's right, Alan. That's right. Collapse. Yeah, collapse could work. Where is collapse? There we go. Collapse. Nah, it's messed up. The geometry's messed up. That's fine. No worries. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go geometry. Dynamic subdiv. I'm not going to use a smooth subdiv. I'm just going to use thickness. Like that. As you can see, kind of messes things up a little bit, but it's close. Actually, I kind of like those sort of like happy little accidents there. So I'm gonna say polish and dynamesh with a high. Oh, we'll need to apply this. Apply. There we go. As you can see, that's a lot cleaner. It's not perfect, but it's a lot cleaner. And we can go to our traditional brushes and just start cleaning things up there a little bit. Dynamesh again. The brush is acting weird. I might need to reset ZBrush now. But yeah, this should give us the piece right there. Now I'm gonna use this move. There's a new move. It's not move topological. It's move infinite depth. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me. Someone taught it to me very recently. There we go. Actually, that movement might be better just with move brush. I think it might be a little bit too thick, so let's make it a little bit thinner. I don't mind overlaps. Overlaps are fine. There we go. Cool. So as you can see, now we have that shape right there. We can mirror and then weld. And hopefully these things did not touch. Oh, they did. Okay, so let's just move this a little bit in. My intensity is all the way down, so there we go. So now mirror and weld. Perfect. Now we have this section right there. And now it's time to just add a little bit of a bevel, especially on the inside line. it might be a good idea to give it one more subdivision level. And we can bevel this thing. Just string dynamic. Let's see. Leso says, hey, I got a question. I want to become a 3D character artist. On the side, I've started with 2D some weeks ago, drawing characters. I did this to push myself on the more creative side, like creating my own concepts. Are there any 2D things that I should focus on to push my 3D skills? Yes. Perspective, silhouette, and as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, gesture drawing. Those 3 things are really, really like strong tools that you can have as a character artist that are gonna make you better at sculpting as well. So yeah, I would recommend those. Okay, cool. Cool. So that thing is ready, I would say. Now we can just add a couple of like damage bits and things. So let's damage the stone a little bit. Smooth out all of this edges. What time is it? I definitely got in this zone right there. Yeah, we still got time. Let's see. Focus on... Hey, I love your video on education and need your advice. Should I leave my well-paying 3D artist job in marketing, which I hate, to join a competitive 9-month 3D program focused on the fields I want to work on, characters, games, and fields? Oh man, I don't want to be the one to take that decision, man. Here's what I can tell you. I've heard a lot of people who've done something like that. Like, they had a good paying job, they were stable on their lives, economically speaking, but they felt horrible. They didn't enjoy the process, they didn't enjoy the projects, they felt trapped, right? And when they did the switch, they realized that now the money was a lot shorter, like it was not as much money as they had, but they were more happy. So that really depends on what you need. Here's my advice. If you have a family, right? Like if you're married, you have kids or something, and you provide for them, then I would strongly encourage you to be very smart about how you pick this or like changes in your career. Because there might not be an option for you to do it at this point, right? Like it might be that I said we're gonna do this symmetrical. It might not be possible for you to do this and keep providing for them in the way you have been providing for them so far. So it's very important that you understand that as we grow, there's of course going to be some responsibilities attached to us, and we might not be able to do whatever we want, right? Like even if this doesn't make me happy, well, it sucks, but sometimes you gotta do it, right? Sometimes you gotta stick with what you have, because that's how life works. But that doesn't mean that you cannot pursue this on the side, like you're saying. However, if you're in a position where you're like, I can't afford to earn less money and still like live a good life, provide for myself, provide for my family or whatever, and this will bring more joy and more enjoyment to my life, go for it. Because money is not everything, right? Like we know that, or at least that's one of the things that I've shared with you guys. Like for me, money is not everything. It's important. It allows us to do things, of course. It allows us to make decisions and live life in a specific way. But it's not everything. Like I don't want to be a millionaire and have a Bugatti in my garage and a mansion with 3 pools. Like, no, I personally don't care about that. But I do need to make decisions, right? I have a family to provide for. So if at some point in the next, I don't know, 15 years, the 3D industry goes to shit and there's nothing I can do anymore, and I need to switch careers and become, I don't know, like a sculptor or like a carpenter, or I need to go and work in a manufacturing industry. Hey, sorry, that's it, right? Like that's what you do. So again, in your case, my friend, just really evaluate what your position is. I would give you a couple of guidelines. If you are below the age of 30 and you don't have family to provide to, you're not married, you don't have kids, and you have a support circle, like your parents are willing to take you in to help you with your rent or whatever, or you're living with them still, go for it, because you don't have anything to lose, right? Like you're in a position where you can afford to make that risk, and it might not play out, right? It might be the worst decision you ever took in your life. Unfortunately, I don't know the future and I can't tell you, but it could also be the best decision you took in your life. But what I can tell you is it's going to be a decision that's going to change the way your life will like move forward, okay?
And if you fail, like if you completely fail, if it was one of the worst things you could have ever done, and you hate me forever, it's like, oh, fuck you, Ave, you shouldn't have told me that. Well, you still have time to recover. That's my point, right? If you're older, like if you're above 40 and you're like, oh, I work as an accountant and now I want to do games, but I have a family to provide. I mean, you can do it, but it's a different sort of like a risk and decision, right? Like it's not as simple as someone who's just learning and studying. Where did I get those rocks? Oh, I don't remember the exact, but if you look for marble damage things, you might be able to. Yeah, no, dude, if you're 24, man, you got your whole life ahead of you. When I was 44, I started my little studio, Critical Hit. That was 10 years ago. That's when I started my studio. And no, wait, I'm not 34. I'm 32. But yeah, I started in like 2014. And it failed a couple of years later with the pandemic. Like, I had to close it. So, but it taught me so much. So freaking much. So yeah, man, you're young. You can do it. Okay, let's grab this brushes right here. This belts. I'm gonna keep this belts simple, to be honest. They're just like straps. I do need to add a little bit of thickness to them. These are not gonna be symmetrical, unfortunately. Oh no. Can we make them symmetrical? I don't think so. That one. Oh, come on. If you're in finance, you should know risk versus reward. Yeah. It's part of the. It's part of that, man. And life is all about that, I think. This is gonna get a little bit more philosophical, but I've mentioned this before. Like, I don't know what comes after, right? I don't know if there's an after. But what I do know is that we have this life. So, if you can, again, if you have the opportunity to do so, it's in your best interest to try to get the best out of it, right? Like, why not? And if that means taking a risk and maybe failing, well, again, that's life. That's how life works. I'm not sure why it's not letting me switch between subtools. I think I'm definitely gonna have to reset this. Okay, let me save real quick and I'm gonna reset ZBrush. Sort of like bugged out or something. Let's see. How can you hide show parts of a sculpt on Blender? Saw a video on some hiding. There's a shortcut on the keyboard. It's the slash key on your numerical pad. If you click on that one, it will isolate the tool. What do you think the TV industry will look like in 30 or 40 years? Are there any advancements you'd like to see, especially with the exciting possibilities of quantum computing? That's a great question. ET, yes, I do have a course in Substance Painter. It's on the site. If you're there, you can link it to ET on YouTube. He's looking for the Substance course. It's called Substance Course from beginner to master. It's, I think, like a 10 or 12 hour course. We texture a dwarf character. It's a really cool one, I think. There we go. Okay. How do I think, or what's gonna happen? I mean, graphics are definitely gonna keep improving. That's a no-brainer. Like I'm sure we're gonna get to the point where things are hyper real. I don't mind VR technology. I know it's a little bit weird and it can get tiring at times, but I think there's gonna be improvements on that area as well. I heard there was this guy that was saying, oh, in the future the game is gonna be created for you in like real time. Like you're gonna, like the computer, the AI is gonna know what you like to play, and it's gonna create a game for you that specifically matches exactly what you want to feel in that moment. I don't think I want that. And the reason why I don't want that, and I heard this about a writer recently, was explaining a little bit of the creative process, and she was saying that we tend to think that audiences know what they want,
They don't. They know what they want to feel, but they don't know how to get to that feeling. And I'm not sure if it was an author or who was it, but they were giving the example of Matrix, right? Like the Matrix movie. If you guys were, I was roughly in the age when Matrix was released. I didn't understand it as much because I was a little bit smaller or younger at that time, but it was a huge phenomenon, right? And when people watched the Matrix, they were like, fuck, we want more of that. But what they wanted is not exactly that. It's they want to feel that way. And that's why the next couple of Matrix movies didn't like really nail the what's the word, the feeling of the first film, because it's difficult to get that feeling. It's not simple. So with games, I feel like it's the same thing. Like I'm gonna give you an example, like The Legend of Zelda, right? Everyone says, oh, this is what we want, we would like to see this, we would like to see that. And then they bring freaking Breath of the Wild and you're like, damn, I didn't know I wanted this, but this is awesome, right? Well, that's the point with films and with the entertainment industry, that you need to let authors and creators and artists come up with those sort of like ideas, come up with those things to get you hooked to that stuff. It's not what's the word? It's not because that's what I think happened with Marvel, right? That's another like big example. With Marvel, we all want to feel what we felt when we saw Endgame or Infinity War, right? And that's what we've been saying, like, oh, we want that, we want that. And Marvel thought, oh, they want a bunch of cameos and a bunch of superheroes and a bunch of flashy things. Like, no, it's not that. It's we want that sort of like build up until we get to that point again, right? Like we want that storytelling. But unfortunately, the audience is not gonna say it that way, because we as audiences, I'm talking about the general world, we were very bad at expressing exactly what we want. But that's what made Infinity War so successful, right? Like the build up to that moment. The build up of the villain, the build up of everything that happened to get to that specific point. So I hope that video games don't go that way, where the AI is just generating something. It's like, oh, this is what you want. No, I want an author to create something, and for me to be involved in that world or hooked by that world. And yes, there will be decisions that I won't agree with. It's like, oh, I would have done it differently. But at the end of the day, unless I'm doing it, it feels hypercritical, I would say is the word, for me to say, yeah, this is what I want. Because if you want to do something, you do it. You think you do, but you don't in relation. Yeah, exactly. Like we our perspective and our sort of like opinions are very, very heavily skewed. And there's a lot of things that we think we want, but that's not really what we want. It's not really gonna work. Yeah. Because then you fall into this pit of always trying to please the audience, and then you lose sight of what makes your game or your content or whatever it is special. This is one of the things that I told David, and actually, you guys always ask about this. Like, one of the reasons why I left Nextute is because I realized that I was being pushed to do things that seemed like the thing that we needed. And it's like, no, this is not what we need. We need a different direction, and I want to have control over that direction. So yeah. Okay, let's mirror this. Oh, it has multiple subdivisions. Let's do it higher. Mirror this. And mirror and weld. No. Okay, this skirt I am gonna leave asymmetrical. So let's not mirror that. Just gonna add a couple of subdivisions so I can start working on polishing this thing right here. Yeah, exactly. Like the YouTube rewind. Yeah, exactly. Let me hide the belt because I'm not seeing. There we go. Gonna push this in a little bit. Yeah, and it is a conversation. It's definitely a conversation that needs to happen, right? And Concord was another big example this week. Like, yes, you do need to listen to your audience. Yes, you do need to see what people are asking for and sort of like requesting. But then you as the developer, you as the author, you as the artist, you're like, okay, this is what people want. Cool. How can I do something that fulfills that desire from the audience, from the people, while still doing something that's gonna make them feel like they're getting something new? Because otherwise you get Call of Duty. Like, I love Call of Duty. It's a good game to play with your friends and just have fun and just like play around and stuff. But they have not done anything different in the past 10 years. It's all been the same rehash and rehash and rehash. And I would like to feel what I felt back in the day with Modern Warfare 2, for instance, or with the first Black Ops, that you were like, oh my god, this is something new, this is unique, that's cool. We're not getting that because you're just playing it safe. And there's a lot of talent there. I'm not again, like, throwing any shade at the talent out there, because the amount of like technological advances that they've done is really, really good. But the direction, right? The decisions that they're making, I don't agree with them. I would do something different. And again, I know it's at that point, at that level, right? You cannot risk it. You gotta play it safe. That's why they're not doing anything different. But that's my point. Like, you need to understand where certain things are being pushed. Do I use Unreal CG Tune? Yes, we do it. Exactly. It's kind of like 50% of what people want and 50% of what you want. I'm being promoting Sanderson quite a bit in this channel now because I'm so hooked on his books, but I think he does that perfectly, because he gives you a very sort of like traditional fantasy story, right? Swords and evil, good versus evil. But if you guys have read him, and if you haven't, I strongly recommend you do. He always has this crazy twists. It's like, I was not expecting the story to go there. And the way he builds for those sort of like things. So we as an audience, we get what we want, which is a fantasy story, but then he gets to tell the story in a specific way. It's like, damn, that's really original. That's really, really freaking cool. What's the concept? Where is my concept? There we go. What is the difference between Dynamesh and ZRemesh? Dynamesh is a dynamic way of generating your topology, right? And the good thing about it is that it will adapt itself to whatever it is you're sculpting. The bad thing is that it won't have proper deformation or topology that you could use for animation, for instance. So it's often recommended to start with Dynamesh. It's a good sort of like starting point. And then once you're happy with the result of Dynamesh, you switch to ZRemeshes or to a subdivision level workflow. And eventually you are going to be doing, what's the word? You're going to be doing retopology, which is where I'm not sure if we're gonna get to do a little bit of retopology today, but this character's almost done, to be honest. Okay, corporate overlords will dictate what we want in line with investors. Yeah, alias, but that's here's the thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate now. I think we tend to criticize too much about what corporations and greed are doing and things like that. But we gotta remember that if it weren't for that amount of money, a lot of the things that we love and enjoy wouldn't be possible, right? And we would be stuck with a different kind of level and quality on the things that we play and we see. So we need corporations, we need big studios to fund and give the money to studios to be able to do this. And again, playing devil's advocate, there's been a lot of studios out there that have done like very shitty things. Like, they ask for a lot of money and then they deliver something that's literal shit. So it's not all the fault of the investors and the companies and the shareholders, because at the end of the day, well, the entertainment industry is a business. If you just want to do this for the love of art and for the love of creating, well, go for it. But then don't expect to be a millionaire, right? Like, this is one of the things that I was mentioning on the last video. Like, we tend to be a little bit too hypocritical there as well as an audience, because we want to
We want to see like super high quality productions and things like that, but then we don't want to pay for it. We want things to be free, and we want things to be accessible. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. If one of my favorite developers, like game developers, would come out and say, hey, we want to make an amazing game for you guys, but it's gonna cost $100, I would pay it because I trust them, right? Like, I trust that developer. It's like, I will pay $100 for a game. But then you tell people, hey, games are now gonna cost $60, $70, and we make a huge fuss about it, even though that game could easily give you like hundreds of hours of gameplay time. Like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example. If Capcom tomorrow says, hey guys, we're gonna be increasing the price for Monster Hunter Wilds to $100, I'll be like, oh, that sucks, but I will pay it, because Monster Hunter has been one of my favorite franchises, and every single game since I've been playing it, which was a Monster Hunter 4, has been amazing. Every single one of them, and I've played hundreds of hours of that game. So I wouldn't feel bad, and I would understand if the developer says, we need more money to give you what we've been giving you so far. Does that make sense? So it's one of those like tricky things where it's okay to complain and be like, hey, this is not fair, corporate guys. Like, you guys need to listen to us. You guys need to check your your pricing and stuff like that. But it's also fine for us to say, hey, yeah, that's fair. Like, you guys have done a lot for us, so I'm happy to pay a little bit more to support a product that I trust and that I know that's gonna work. If Call of Duty comes and says, hey, we're gonna start charging $100, it's like, now, like, what are you gonna give me, right? Like, why is this price hike justifiable? So just that kind of stuff. It's a weird balance, and that's why this art world is so interesting, because it combines art, it combines economics, it combines social things, it combines marketing, it combines so many things. But if you just want to be on your house and you want to be a solo dev and you want to do a game from passion, and you don't care about making money, and you just care about like having fun and sharing stories, that's fine as well. It's totally fine. You guys want me to give you another example about that? So I have one more example, and this one's very personal. When I was younger, I thought I was gonna be writing books, because I love books, right? I told you this earlier. I told you that when I was in middle school, that's the name, I was reading a lot. I was like, oh, I want to write my own books. And then I realized how much work and how much effort it meant to write a book. I was like, okay, this might not be what I want to do. But then I realized, but I still want to tell stories. I want to create stories, and I want to create characters, and I want to create like plot lines and things like that. And I found D&D. So I've been creating stories, characters, and plot lines for my D&D campaign for the past 10 years. I've been playing D&D for a long time now. And I know those stories are never going to be seen on a big screen, or they're never going to be bestsellers, but I'm happy with the fact that I'm just creating them. So you can still be an artist, you can still be a creator, you can still be a storyteller, even if that means that you're not going to be at the top of the game, right? Because it's two completely different things. Let's see. Which one do you prefer more, ZBrush or Blender? For sculpting, ZBrush. For modeling, I actually use Maya, but I don't mind using Blender. Now let's work a little bit here on the legs of the character. Again, we're going to stylize them a little bit more. Where can we read the stories? Nah, you're never going to read the stories. They're stories that I've played with my friends and my brothers. These are not stories that I'm going to be publishing. I have a short story. I wrote a short story. It's like a 2-page, 3-page story that I wrote last year. I'm actually proud of that. I was like, oh, this sounds cool. I might share that one sometime. I'm not gonna just read it right now. But it's just a story. It's just a story. It's never gonna be a film. It's never gonna be a game. I'm never gonna be doing a cinematic universe of it. But you just do it because we as what's the word? We as humans like to do that. I love the Door storyline. Yeah, Door has a cool storyline as well. Door is the dwarf. Where is it? So on the substance course, we did this character. Like, all of the characters that you see right here have stories. I didn't create all of them. Like, this Oni character I didn't create, but all of the other ones, like Duncan here, the alien right there, Door, the Plague Doctor, all of them, even the Axe, I try to always give a story to them. But again, I know that there are stories that are never gonna be out there on a big film or anything. So Door, his story is that he was a soldier, and then he came back to his hometown, and he found all of his hometown destroyed, right? His family was dead, and then the remaining sort of like battalion came to the city, and they realized, hey, what the hell, Door? You're the only survivor here. It's like, oh, I didn't do this. It's like, well, there's no one else, and you're the only one here, so you're going to jail. And he went to jail. He was in prison for a long time, and when he was released or escaped, I don't remember what exactly I came up with there, but when he was released or escaped, he went back to the hometown, and he took the grave of his wife, and that's his shield. So he carries the shield of his wife as a shield, like a stone slate. And his main sort of like ambition right now is to find who did it, and one, prove his innocence, and two, avenge his family, right? So, but he's a cool dude. He's not like an angry dude that's gonna be like all moody and stuff. He's just like, I really need to do this because this is the right thing to do. He's not doing it for vengeance, right? He's doing it for justice. So he's this sort of like paladin. He's a paladin, I think. He's a paladin that follows this code, and he's like, I will find whoever did this, and I will bring it to justice. First, to bring justice to my clan, to my family, and then to clean my name. Oh yeah, JC Duncan. I that one I spent a little bit more time sort of like defining, Alan. I really like give it I created like a because I've been following again Brandon Sanderson's like series on how to write, and he suggests doing an outline, right? So I did a whole outline for the story arc of Duncan, and I'm really proud of that story as well. That one, the Duncan story, I'm thinking maybe again in the future. That's not something that's like on the priority list. But I would like to do a comic book, like a little like novel series. But I want to see if some of my friends want to collaborate there, because I have a friend who does like inking and another one who does drawing. So I'll be in charge of this, like the story and dialogue, and then I could get maybe an artist commission, of course. Like I would never ask them to do this for free unless they wanted to like collaborate and get some. I don't know. Like we'll need to find a way to do it, right? But that's definitely that one. I think has a little bit more potential because I at least like give it a little bit more thought. I have not tried, Jared. I have not tried 3D Code for sculpting, to be honest, but I do use it for texturing some stuff. It's a good software as well, and I like the fact that you can have this sort of like a rent to own option. Oh, I don't have the concept, but I remember this guy was barefooted. So I am going to be very lazy again. And I'm just gonna steal I'm gonna steal the feet from the Oni character again. Because I don't wanna sculpt feet right now. Let's see. You would like it a lot for sculpting. Retopo is really powerful. I normally use Topogun for Retopo, but I would definitely give it a try. I'm not sure, because I have 3D Textura, which is just for texture, so I might need to get the other one. There we go. A pen. There we go. And these feet from the Oni were actually also stolen. What I mean by stolen is not that I steal them. They were part of the Nick base figure, so I started with the base mesh. That's what I mean. So I didn't do them from scratch. As you can see, they're like fairly built, right? So it's gonna save me quite a bit of time, and we can jump into a little bit of Retopo now. In production, is very, very common. This is another question that we get all the time. Like, do you use base meshes all the time? Yes, all the time. All the time. The thing about base meshes is that I feel like you sort of like need to prove first that you know how to do it. Because if you always use base meshes and then you come up, well, or you find a project where you don't have a base mesh to use and you need to do it from scratch, the question is, can you? Right? Similar to what we were talking about, like the environment
people that do a lot of kit bashing. Like, sure, if you can find all of the assets to your kit bashing, that's great. But what's gonna happen when you get hired to do a project and there's no kit bash available that matches the style or the things that the project requires? What are you gonna do then? You're just gonna wait for the kit bash to be released? No, right? So that's why it's important to know the process so that you can oh, I know why we're not seeing the chat. There we go. Sorry, guys. Append can, yeah, append can combine anything, man. Just bring anything and just append it. That's it. I feel like the feet look a little bit small, so. So he's like a dwarf character, so I would expect the feet to be like really, really chunky. Okay, I like the front view. I don't love the side view. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit chunkier here as well. What do you guys think? Does that look good? Maybe a little bit too long. Let's push them in. No, you don't need to do that, man. Now, another question we get frequently is, should the feet be pointing forward or should they be pointing with a little bit of a direction? I usually like to get them a little bit of an angle. I feel like that makes the character look a little bit more natural. Always ask your rigger and always ask your art director. Some pipelines will require you to do it in a way that they're completely facing forward, and some don't mind if you do this little inclination here and there. Okay, cool. So now we just need to bring the feet all the way up. As you can see, the name of the feet is Nick Human Male Average. So what I did in the Oni, and we covered that in the course, is we grabbed them from this one, Nick Human Male, and then we sculpted them. So we just used the base mesh, especially to get the toes separated, because usually with Dynamesh, toes tend to get like merged together, which is actually something that's going to happen now when I combine them with the legs. So this one, I'm just gonna say merge down. Merge down. Martin Busta, thanks for the sub, my friend. We are really close to our sub goal. Our sub goal is 50 subs here in Twitch. And by the way, I think, guys, YouTube, if you guys are on YouTube, have we arrived to the next point? Because I think we were about to get to 26,000. 26,000, and I'm not sure if we're there yet. We should be, I think. Based on my calculation, we should be. Thank you, Martin. Thank you. Thank you very much. I've been doing, Satlan, I've been doing this for a long time. When I was starting ZBrush and I was also struggling, one thing that I did, and it really helped me, is I gave myself a challenge. It was like, I need to learn ZBrush. I already knew the basics, but I was like, I really need to sort of like understand ZBrush a little bit better. So what I did is I did a sculpt every day for 30 days, for a month. This was back in 2011. And some of those sculpts you're never gonna see, guys. Like, I'm never gonna show you those sculpts. But that's how I learned. Like, I started doing, it's like, I'm gonna try to do a goblin. I'm gonna try to do a, I don't know, like a dragon. I'm gonna try to do like a weapon. And every day I did 30 sculpts, at least an hour for each of them. And that's how I started getting like better and better at navigation, at the tools, at the process, right? Like, just like understanding how things work. You guys want to see one of those sculpts? I think I have it. I think I must have it in one of my hard drives. Let me see if I can show you one. Oh, I really like those legs. Now those look like really strong legs, right? Not freaking bad.
think we're done, guys. I think our Highpoly is done. Just need to fix and tweak a couple of things here and there. I think we're really good. Thank you, Alan. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you for being here. I'll see you back on the next one. Let's move the tab earth. So here we just need to push this out a little bit so it's not overlapping with the belts. There we go. Yeah, let me show you one of those old sculpts. Let me see if I have it here. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me navigate my old discs here. It's this one. Satya, the September portfolio reviews. Oh, that's a great question. Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you an important notice for the portfolio reviews. Okay, this is very, very important. Actually, let's do that before we go to the next part. Okay. So here's the deal, guys. We're gonna have a new rule on the portfolio reviews, and this new rule is very, very important. The rule is that for portfolio reviews, you need to have at least 1 year of experience doing 3D to submit to portfolio review. Okay? What do I mean by this? I want to help everyone. I want to be able to give you guys a good advices and good reviews. One of the rules is that you, of course, need to add some information there. But we've seen a lot of, let's say, beginner level portfolios. People who are submitting their portfolios who are just beginning their 3D journey. Like here, I think this one is a good example. Yes, like Jan Andrade right here. So Jan Andrade submitted a couple of things. Jan was actually good. I remember this portfolio now. Let me find another one. And again, I'm not throwing shade to anyone. This is not personal. I'm just using a quick example, okay? But there's a bunch of portfolios that we've been getting. Not a bunch, but some portfolios that we've been getting where people are just beginning their 3D journey. And unfortunately, with those types of portfolios, it's very difficult for me to give you good advice because you're just starting, right? You're just starting your process. Let me see. Actually, on August, we didn't have too many of that. This is good. So that these two are good examples of levels that I'm looking for again to help you. So that's it. If you just started your 3D career, if you're just learning the basics of what's the word? The basics of 3D and stuff like that, I don't think I'm gonna be able to help you as much, okay? Because you're just beginning. It's fine. You're in the beginning stages, but you don't need to have a portfolio at this point. You need to keep learning. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna open up the portfolio submissions, okay? And if we see, this is going to be on Monday, and if we see that some of those portfolios are still on the beginner level, we're just not going to review them, okay? I'm not going to be able to send a message to every single one of them, or I don't know, I might. But I'm just going to say, hey, this is not, this is just a beginner portfolio level, or just starting, that's fine, keep pushing, but we're still not there, okay? Like this one right here. I could, he did change one thing that had been bothering me. But yeah, just keep that in mind, okay, guys? Like, portfolio review is for those who are about to graduate, just graduated a little bit a while ago, or are already working on the industry and they want to sort of like find a way to polish their stuff. That's who portfolio review is aimed towards. Beginners who are just starting their 3D journey, you just did the barrel, you just did Thyros or something like that. You're not there yet, guys. Just be patient, keep working on the portfolio, and then you do. So I would recommend at least 1 year of practicing or 1 year of experience in the 3D world before you submit to a portfolio review. Okay? Hope that helps. Yeah, if you want to submit stuff, if you want me to look at stuff that's not for portfolio review. Maybe you're just starting and you just did the axe course, right? And you want to show that, show it on the 3D workshop channel. Remember, we have more channels here. So here on the 3D workshop, and you are free to tag me. It's like, hey Abe, I just finished your axe course, what do you think? And I'll be happy to give you a little bit of a brief like, again, recommendation or something like that. But there's a lot of stuff that or people that have submit for portfolio review that, again, it's not there yet. It seems like ZBrush crashed, which is a little bit of a shame, so we're gonna have to close that. Okay, let me find the old C tool, or the old like files that I mentioned, and let's see if I can open it. 1 year of practicing, Daddy Streams. 1 year of practicing. How to prepare low poly model for baking? Smooth shading all, or I normally do smooth shading all, except with some hard surface assets where you might need to harden a specific edge. Like if you're doing gaunts and things like that, you might want to sharpen specific edges. But most of the time, I do smooth shading all. Okay, there we go. There we go. This one. What? Unable to read? What, are we out of memory? That's very weird. Give me 1 second. Oh, we have no memory. Okay, let me delete some stuff. Wow, it's the autosave. The autosave just like crashed. Downloads, but let me delete some stuff. One second, guys. 1 second. There we go. Yeah, unfortunately, by default, the ZBrush stuff always gets saved on your main drive. I have a very small main drive. It's the main drive, my C drive, where Windows is installed. It's just a 250 gigabyte drive. Everything else is on big drives. I might be doing this switch soon, where I'm gonna install Windows on a bigger drive, but I haven't done it. I have it this way so that when I need to format the computer, it goes a little bit faster. But even then, it always takes a long time. Yeah, storage. It's missing storage. And you're gonna see, like right now, I have 7 gigabytes of free memory only on my C drive. I'm gonna delete. Well, I'm gonna check that the file was saved, and then I'm gonna delete the. And then I'm gonna delete all of the quick save files, and it's probably gonna give me like 20 more gigabytes. Let me see which generation. I didn't mean it's not saved. There we go. Okay, so that guy is safe. That's our Highpoly right there. Let me go preferences, quick save, and we're gonna delete quick save file. So again, let's see how much stuff this was occupying. So we have 7.4 gigabytes. Let's delete all of that, and now we have 44 gigabytes. So we were using, I'm bad at math, 37 gigabytes of quick save files. Damn, that's a lot. Okay, now let's open this one. There we go. Look at that. So I did this character on 2011. June 15, 2011. This is where I was learning ZBrush, as I was mentioning, and I did this guy. It was supposed to be, I'm not sure if you guys remember this character from a movie called Small Soldiers. This guy's. So it was supposed to be that guy right there. I don't remember his name. The Archer, right? The Archer, I think was his name. And of course I failed. It was a very, very bad try at that point. At this point we didn't have Dynamesh, by the way, so that was one of the issues. You had to sculpt everything from a sphere and try to push and pull the forms in the best possible way. But yeah, that was my first try. And now, 14 years later, oh, and it took me like hours to get there. Now, again, 13 years later, we're in a way, way better position. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty much it, guys. With this, our character is done. And now the next stage is going to be the retopology stage. Now, at this point, what I like to do is I like to just go to all of the different elements and assets and just like clean stuff up. So for instance, some of these belts are looking a little bit weird. So I'm just going to start like moving them up, especially closing all of those sort of like negative shapes that we have right there. It's not a great idea to have a lot of those negative shapes, especially if we're going to like retopologize this belt so that it covers the skirt. You want to cover all of those sort of like holes that we have right there. Same for the skirt. Like this skirt right here, we mentioned that it's going to be a flat plane, so we want to bring it in. So all of those like little nooks and crannies, because all of this is going to eventually be retopologized as a single mesh. Like eventually, again, the character from a retopology perspective, all of this character, except for the belt, like maybe the belt will keep separate. I'm not sure because I don't want that thing to bend. But pretty much everything else is just going to be a single watertight mesh. So I'm going to go in and make sure that there's not a lot of like those negative shapes right there. So we're going to save a lot of that stuff. Why on the top part of the ZBrush you have like 45 gigabytes of memory? Top part? Where? This. Oh, that's RAM. I have 44 gigabytes of RAM available. You probably just have 8 gigabytes of RAM. So I have 64 total gigabytes of RAM on my system right now. So I'm using some of that for OBS, I'm using some of that for ZBrush, I'm using some of that for like just Windows. So that's telling me, hey, you got you're using 3 gigabytes right now, and you have up to 45 gigabytes of RAM available for use. You have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Make sure to go to preferences, and then in where is it? Memory. Here, memory. So no, that's, I'm not sure. There's an option. I don't remember where it is. Performance? No, that's for the CPU. Are you, this is a weird question. Are you using a legit version of ZBrush? Because that might be it. I don't know. But yeah, there should be a way to make sure. I don't remember where this man. Sorry. But there's a way to check that. Yeah. Because that could be an issue. Sometimes that's one of the bad maybe. Yeah, I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but yeah, I'm not sure if that could be it. I'm not sure what version of ZBrush you're using, but check the preferences, check the documentation. There might be a way to optimize that, like memory usage, so that you can use all of your 32 gigabytes of RAM. Sometimes it also depends on the what's the word? On the asset. Like if the asset's very simple, you're not even gonna get there. So. That one, it's not that one, it's not that one. Probably gonna merge all of the belts into a single one, but again, I'm just like closing all of those holes. Like here, right? Do you see that? Like this, like the pants right there. It might be better for me to push the pants up a little bit so that they touch the belt, because it's easy to retopologize when things are like close to each other. Anytime you have this like floating bits right there, it's always a pain to retopologize. So it's always better to sort of like close that. And this also works for 3D print, by the way. So if I want to 3D print this guy, having things be as close as possible so that I can dynamesh is way, way, way better. Like here on the front, see that? Like the pants are really far away from the shorts. I'm just gonna push that forward so that we don't have that floating space, and I don't have to go inside of that area to retopologize things.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, all of these things that you're seeing right now, this is probably gonna be a watertight mesh, like a single mesh that's gonna move all the time together. And then some of the other parts, like the tabard and the belt thing, it might be just attached to the character, so that if he bends or moves, that thing's always like a solid. Kosakusu, thank you, my friend. Yeah, we're having a great day. No, this is for games. We're eventually gonna be doing retopology and everything for this character. So no, this is for games. I see another like bump right there. The hell is that? I don't know. I'm just gonna push the stone up a little bit there. And there we go. There we pretty much go. I think I just want to add a little bit of detail to that like stone thing right here. So let's go brushes. Where's my marble damage brush? There we go. So let's add this thing. This is my little like stone effect right there. And then again with Train Dynamic and clay build that we can add a little bit of damage to this part of the stone. It's very clean right now. What do you mean append everything with one click, man? Like you want to like you can merge everything on the other subtool and then just append it. But if you want to append all of the subtools as separate subtools with just one click, I'm not sure that's possible. The way to avoid blobby sculpts is to focus on the planes of the sculpts. So you want to make sure that you're not just adding any type of like mass or detail just for the sake of adding it. You're gonna add it because you know where those are. It's kind of like the decision making of, again, where certain things should be, right? So it comes with practice. A very good advice is don't work on high subdivision levels unless you need to. So only go up one subdivision level, or only increase your dynamesh resolution if you feel like you need to add that detail. Otherwise, your sculpt is going to start looking, again, messy, as you mentioned. So yeah, that would be, I think that would be my advice for that. Again, here we just need to push this a little bit more. Make sure it's not colliding with the tower right there. And that's it. Oh, I have like 34 objects with subdivs, and all of them have different subdivs. Thanks to you, I know I can append and have the subdivisions, but do happen append 34 times and switch every part, make my sanity go down quick. And why do you want to do that? Like, where do you want to append those to? Like, the only thing I can think of is like you did like the armor of a character or something, and now you want to append a character. But like, if you want to move all of those subtools to another tool, and that other tool that you want to move them to has fewer subtools, wouldn't it be easier to move that tool that has fewer subtools to the one that has 34 subtools? Like, just change the order of operation pretty much. Okay, so now the only thing I want to do is I want to do a quick render, because we are pretty much done with the Highpoly. So let's save this, and I'm going to show you guys how to do a very quick clay render of this character. I mean, I already have the material set up, so I'm just gonna recycle one of the scenes that we've been using. How to do? I just do, Kosaku, when I'm doing hair for characters, I just do blobs of clay. It's just the general volume that you want to see, because eventually you're gonna be replacing that with fiber mesh or with XGen or with hair cards or something. So it's just like a general blob. I would say don't worry too much about it. We're missing the axe for this character. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do geometry. Sorry, subtool, merge visible. Yes, I hate myself. I wouldn't wish that onto my worst enemy. Like, doing retopo in ZBrush is just the easiest way to go crazy. It's really bad. Let's do C plugin, decimation, pre-process current. Yeah, that's a good, that's actually really good advice, Anthony. Imagine you're putting gel on the hair and just make a block, just like a very sort of like, it's just a form of the character. Appending will have hidden object inside of it. Appending will only append whatever the active subtool is from the tool you're appending from. It won't append all of the other elements, just the active tool or the active subtool. We're gonna be using Blender now. Any Blender user can tell me what this error is. Anytime I open Blender and I click or I try to do an action, I get this. Python traceback users, my user said fine, redraw regions. I'm not sure if it's like an installed issue or something. It just happens one time and then I'm fine, but it happens every time. I don't know what that is. It's the sword right there. It's an add-on specific error. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. There we go. Yeah, see that? What's that? Oh, there you go. You're the guilty one. Screencast keys. There you go. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Yeah, screencast. I need to change that add-on. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Alan. Yeah. I never read the full thing. I just thought, like, freaking Blender is, like, doing something. Okay, let's do 20% decimation. That should be enough. 20% usually keeps most of the detail. Go. And let's export as... Let's keep it on the desktop for now. FBX. Actually, no. Let's do... Let's do it here. And what, should I just, like... remove it from the... Like, just unselect and that's it? Could be, right? Cool. Thanks, guys. Okay, so this scene right here that I have is the scene that we did for the free course. So if you guys have been living under a rock, I released a free course for everyone last week. So it's this portfolio presentation workshop. Completely free, will always be free. And we talk about how to set up lights and cameras and all that stuff so that you can showcase your work in the best possible light, literally. So this is the scene. This is where the cannon is actually there. Let me load it in real quick so that you can see it. There we go. Ta-da. And this scene right here is the clay render scene. So it's the same scene, the same light. It's just a... I just created a what's the word? A clay render material. Save preferences, file. Preferences. I don't usually use... No, I don't want to save. No, that's fine. That's fine. I'll just delete the add-on later on. So let's go here. Let's go to our folder here. There we go. I love that we now have drag and drop import FBX. That's great. I'm not sure if that's a plugin that I added, but I just hated that you had to go like open, import, FBX. It's just very uncomfortable. Let's hope it doesn't crash because I'm adding it to the render scene directly. There we go. Ah, Blender doing its stuff. Nice. Okay. There we go. Oh, a little bit smaller. Then bring it up into the floor. There we go. And now we just need to go to the materials and change this material to the Canon material, which is the clay render material, which has a little bit of surface. Let's zoom in a little bit there. And we can render. Yeah, I'll save the preference. Oh, I forgot to hide the blade. Should we give him the blade? Yeah, let's give him the blade. Let me go out into a
material preview mode. Let's give him a Shalathath blade to the character. Oh no! Don't die. You can do it, Blender. Haven't failed so far. I know you can do it. Have you ever rendered in Marmoset? Yeah. Marmoset, Jared, actually the thumbnail for today's stream was done in Marmoset. So I use Marmoset all the time as well. I mean, he's not gonna hold it super tight, right? But it's gonna look fun. There we go. That will probably roughly be the holding area, and then he needs to, of course, close the hand. But we're not rigging today. I definitely don't want to rig today. Let's just rotate this. Move the camera a little bit. Looks a little bit oversized, but I think it looks cool. And now we render. Exactly, Mustafa. Hey, awesome, man. I'm glad that could help you there. And your parents are completely right. You'll probably regret not taking the program more than leaving this job and doing it later. Again, it's gonna be an experience. I remember like talking to my wife about this as well. Let me just go to the camera, because I think the camera's animated or something. Yeah. Go. So every single life experience or every single life decision that you make will change the course of your life. For better or worse, we don't know. You don't know. No one knows until you actually make that leap and take the plunge, right? Like make the decision. But you gotta make the decision. That's the hardest part. Like you gotta make the decision. Because if you don't make the decision, you're gonna be questioning all your life whether you should have made the decision or not, right? So it's important that you understand that that kind of stuff is gonna change. What the hell? It's very weird. Give me 1 second, guys, because see that like weird shading here on the arms? I'm not sure if it's. I'm not sure what that is. Wait, do we have like 2 characters over here or something? Other groups. No. Okay, so it's has to be something on the, maybe on the shading or something. But yeah, you gotta make like it's better to take the decision now. Oh no, I know what it is. It has a weird map. There we go. Index. Why is it giving me a index? I don't want index. Value. There you go. Value. Perfect. So a value of 0.5. There we go. Yeah, I was using the Canon's roughness map. That's why it was looking so weird. You thought it was Juggernaut from Dota 2? No. This is a character that I found a couple of weeks ago, man. It's from an old game. Oh, we definitely need. Wait, what the hell again? Why are we getting that weird shading? Okay, we're gonna have to go to the material tab. Should work now. What is it? Can it be the normals? You guys see it, right? You guys see this sort of like weird
shadow there? Could it be the normals are locked or something? So everything else looks fine. It's just the arm there and there. Have I tried Gaia 2? I haven't, Jared. I've tried the Gaia 1 and it's really good. But I haven't tried Gaia 2. Normal map or displacement? Yeah, you're right. You know what? You are right. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. Yeah, it was still connected to the normal map information of the cannon as well. So that was probably because I'm reusing the material from the cannon. There we go. Let's see if that was it. There we go. That was it. That was it. It was using a wrong normal map, of course. Yeah, exactly, Mustafa. You won't regret wondering what if. That's one of the important parts because you did it, right? Is a green spot made on purpose? Yes, I added that little green thing on the values of the clay render to work as a sort of like ambient occlusion thing. So it has to do with the thickness of the objects. We can reduce it, but I kind of like it. I feel like it gives it a little bit of a dirt pass to the whole thing. So things that are thinner are gonna get a little bit of that sort of like green shine to it on the areas where they're collapsing with another object. And on the other areas that are free, you get that sort of like nice glowing effect. But there we go, guys. So with this, we are pretty much finished with this character's Highpoly. This is part 2. Is it part 2 or part 3? Can you guys remind me? I think it's part 2, right? Like we did most of this on part 1. The part 1 or the beginning of this character was done a couple of streams ago. 2.5. Did I do like a video on it? Yeah, maybe they did a video on it, right? But yeah, this is the end step of the sort of what's the word of sort of the production process for a character's like 3D process, right? Like this is the Highpoly sculpt creation. We are done with it. The next step is going to be the retopology process. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't think I'm going to be doing this online on live stream because it's gonna take like 3 or 4 hours as well, and retopology is a little bit boring. But we will have a retopology video just explaining the process. We also have a retopology course where I cover all of these things. But I do want to do the weapon. I know this is not his weapon, but I want to do this weapon as an example of the retopology process of this kind of assets. So we're gonna be doing that, and then we're gonna do probably in the next couple of months some hand painted textures or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not sure if I want to do this PBR or if I want to do hand-painted. But yeah, this is it. Hopefully you've liked the series so far for this character right here. And, oh, we're going to ban someone here. We are going to ban this guy because he is promoting shit that he shouldn't be promoting. And ban hammer. There you go. How do I get out of this? There we go. Yeah, that's right. I continued this on Gamescom. I think it's going to be helpful if you did the retopo nevertheless, though. Of course, I'm going to decide, because I'm not sure if I want to do the whole retopo, or maybe I just should, like, some part of the retopo. Because it's a lot of retopo. That's my main concern. In retopo, it's not one of the fun things to stream, because it's not very visual. Like, it's just a lot of quads. But yeah, we'll do something. We'll do something. Other than that, guys, next week we have important notices or important things, because ZBrush is going to be announcing ZBrush for iPad. So we're probably either going to have a live stream or a live showcase of ZBrush for iPad. That's going to be an interesting one. Hopefully they release new things for ZBrush. I really hope they're hiding something there, like an ace under the sleeve to show like a new tool or a new function or something. That would be really, really cool. And yeah, just stay tuned, and make sure to tune in for the shorts, the rerun next week, as well as more videos, more content. We had a great video yesterday if you want to check it out. We're talking about the game industry. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it, of course, is by following here inside of Twitch or inside of YouTube. And if you want to check, we also have some premium courses available on our site.
That's it, my friends. We're gonna finish a little bit earlier today. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being part of this amazing community. The character here is happy to be finished. We might 3D print this. Should we 3D print this? I will need to post it or something, but but thank you guys. Have a great weekend. Have some rest. Play some games, and I'll see you back on Discord. And of course, I'll see you back next week with more content. Thank you guys. See you back on the next one. Bye bye.